Once upon a time, in a small house in Port Harcourt, there lived a woman named Ngozi. Ngozi was very kind and always smiling, but her life was filled with challenges. She was married to Emeka, a man who was always angry and didn't treat her well. One evening, Ngozi was in the kitchen cooking dinner. She was making Emeka's favorite meal, hoping it would make him happy. Just as she was stirring the pot, the door slammed open, announcing Emeka's return. Ngozi, where is my food? Emeka shouted from the living room. His voice was loud and scary. Emeka, it's almost ready, Ngozi said. She quickly dished the food and brought it to him. As she placed the plate on the table, he looked at her with a frown. Why is it taking so long? Are you trying to starve me? Eh? No, Emeka. I was just making sure it's well cooked, Ngozi replied. Emeka didn't say anything. He just started eating. Ngozi stood nearby, hoping he would be in a good mood. But after a few bites, Emeka dropped the spoon. This food is rubbish. Does it mean you can never do anything right? He yelled and pushed the plate away. Ngozi's eyes was filled with tears, but she tried to stay calm. Emeka, I am sorry. I can make something else for you if you want. But Emeka was not listening. You are useless, Ngozi. Very useless. Ngozi stepped back. Her hands were trembling. She didn't know what to do. She wished she could run away, but where would she run to? Suddenly, Emeka grabbed her arm and pulled her close. Do you think you can leave me? You can't go anywhere, Ngozi. You belong to me. Ngozi felt fear deep in her chest. Emeka, I am your wife. I just want us to be happy. But Emeka didn't care. He pushed her away, and Ngozi stumbled and hit her back on the wall. She had a sharp pain, but didn't make any sound. She knew if she cried, she would make things worse. Emeka looked at her with anger in his eyes. You better not tell anyone about this, Ngozi. If you do, you will regret it. Ngozi nodded as she struggled with the pain. I won't, Emeka. I promise. That night, Ngozi couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, her body aching from where Emeka had pushed her. She thought about her life, about how she used to be happy before she married Emeka. But now, all she felt was fear and sadness. The next morning, Ngozi decided to call her best friend, Amara. She needed someone to talk to, someone who would understand. Hello, Amara. It's Ngozi, she said when her friend picked up the phone. I need to talk to you. Can you come over? Amara could hear the sadness in Ngozi's voice. Ngozi, what's wrong? Are you okay? Ngozi hesitated. She didn't want to worry Amara, but she couldn't keep this to herself anymore. Please just come. I will tell you everything when you get here. Amara agreed, and soon she was on her way. When she arrived at Ngozi's house, she found her friend sitting on the couch, looking tired and worried. Ngozi, what happened? Amara asked as she sat beside her. Ngozi looked at Amara with tears in her eyes. Amara, I don't know what to do. Emeka is always angry with me. Last night he pushed me. and I hurt my back. I am scared, Amara. Amara frowned. Ngozi, this is not right. You can't stay with someone who treats you like this all the time. This is not the first time, and certainly not going to be the last. This marriage is becoming very toxic. And once it starts, it never ends well. You are the only friend I have, oh. I don't want to lose you. You need to leave, at least for a while. And most importantly, you need to add value to yourself. You have to get a job or learn a skill. I know he doesn't want you to work, and I also know that it's for that reason that he no longer respects you. When a woman is not financially reliant on her partner for survival, it makes it easy for her to leave an abusive relationship. Ngozi shook her head. But where do I go? And what if Emeka finds me? He said I belong to him. Amara took Ngozi's hand. You can stay with me, Ngozi. We will figure out something. But you can't stay here. It's not safe. Just then, they heard the sound of the door opening. Emeka had come home early. Ngozi, who is here? Emeka yelled. She quickly wiped her tears and stood up. It's Amara. She came to visit. Emeka walked into the room and saw Amara. What are you doing here? He asked. His voice was full of suspicion. Amara stood up bravely. I came to see my friend Emeka. Is there a problem? Emeka frowned at her. Ngozi doesn't need a visitor. She needs to take care of her husband. Isn't that right, Ngozi? Ngozi looked down, afraid to answer. She didn't want to make things worse. But Amara wasn't scared. Emeka, you need to stop treating Ngozi like this. She's your wife, not your slave, Amara said boldly. Emeka's face turned red with anger. Get out of my house, Amara, before I make you leave. I will go, but this isn't over, Amara said. As soon as Amara left, Emeka turned to Ngozi. You think you can bring your friends here to talk to me like that, eh? You are going to pay for this. Ngozi felt a cold fear grip her heart. She didn't know what Emeka would do next, but she knew it wouldn't be good. Ngozi's heart was beating fast as she watched Emeka get more furious. She tried to say something, but the words got stuck in her throat. Emeka, please, I didn't mean to upset you, Ngozi finally whispered. Her voice was shaking. But Emeka wasn't listening. He stepped close, his eyes full of anger. Ngozi, you have disrespected me in my own house. You think you can bring your friends here to challenge me? Eh? Ngozi shook her head quickly. No, Emeka, I didn't. Amara just wanted to help. Please, let's just talk. But Emeka didn't want to talk. He grabbed Ngozi by the arm and pulled her hard. You don't get to talk. I am the man of this house, and you will listen to me. Ngozi was in pain, but she tried to stay calm. She knew that if she cried or fought back, it would only make things worse. Emeka, I'm sorry, please. Let me go. But Emeka didn't let go. Instead, he dragged Ngozi to the bedroom and threw her on the bed. You will stay here and think about what you did, he said. Ngozi wrapped herself up on the bed, holding her arm where Emeka had grabbed her, tears streaming down her face. But she didn't want to make a sound. She was too scared that Emeka might hear her and come back. Hours passed and the house grew quiet. Emeka had gone out, leaving Ngozi alone. She knew she needed to do something fast, but what exactly? So she decided to call Amara. Ngozi knew she had to leave, but how? Emeka could come back any moment. She needed a plan, and she needed it fast. Suddenly, she heard a noise outside. Her heart jumped. Was it Emeka? Had he come back? Ngozi walked quietly to the window and looked out. To her surprise, she saw a car pulling into the driveway. It wasn't Emeka's car, it was a taxi. Who had called a taxi? Then she remembered, oh, Amara. Amara must have sent a taxi to help me escape. Without wasting any time, Ngozi grabbed her slippers and quickly opened the bedroom door. The house was still empty, and she could hear the taxi honking outside. Ngozi knew this was her only chance. She quickly ran to the front door. Her heart was pounding in her chest. She opened the door slowly, praying it wouldn't make any noise. The taxi driver was waiting, and when he saw Ngozi, he waved her over. Madam, are you ready? Your friend sent me to pick you, the driver said in a low voice. Ngozi nodded. Yes, I am ready. Let's go, please. Just as she stepped outside, she heard a sound of a car engine. Her heart sank. Emeka was coming back. Quick, madam, get in the car, the driver urged. Ngozi jumped into the taxi and slammed the door. Driver, drive fast, she cried. The taxi drove off quickly as Emeka's car came around the corner. Ngozi looked back and saw Emeka's car coming closer. He must have seen her leave. Please drive faster. He's following us, Ngozi shouted. The taxi driver pressed down on the pedal, but Emeka's car was getting closer and closer. Ngozi's hands were shaking, and she had a lot running through her mind. What would happen if Emeka caught her? No, she couldn't let that happen. Suddenly, the taxi driver turned to a narrow street as he tried to lose Emeka, but Emeka wasn't giving up. He followed them, getting closer and closer. Ngozi could see his angry face from the rear view mirror. Madam, we have to do something. He's going to catch us, oh, the driver said, with panic in his voice. Ngozi knew he was right. She had to think fast. Then she remembered something. There was a small market nearby, a place where Emeka wouldn't think to look. Turn left at the next corner. There is a market there, Ngozi said. The driver nodded and made a sharp turn. They drove quickly on the small street, and soon they saw the market. It was a crowded market. Stop here. I will hide in the market, Ngozi said. The taxi driver stopped, and Ngozi jumped out. She ran into the market, pushing through the crowd, trying to lose herself among the people. She could still hear the sound of a maker's car, but it was getting fainter. Ngozi ran and ran, not looking back. Her heart was pounding. Would she be able to escape Emeka? Would she find safety in the market? Ngozi ran as fast as her legs could carry her. She was bumping into people, but she didn't stop. She knew Emeka was close, and she couldn't let him find her. Ngozi, think. Where can you hide? She whispered to herself. Her eyes moved quickly from side to side, looking for where to hide. The market was noisy, with people shouting and selling things. But that was good. The noise could help her hide. She spotted a small shop that sold clothes and quickly rushed inside. The shop was crowded with colorful fabrics hanging everywhere, making it hard to see what was inside. Over here, a voice whispered from behind the counter. Ngozi jumped. Her heart was pounding, but when she turned, she saw an old woman with a kind eyes waving her over. The woman had seen Ngozi running and knew she needed help. Come, my dear, hide here, the old woman said, pulling Ngozi behind a curtain. Ngozi's heart was still beating very fast, but she quickly hid behind the curtain. She could hear the old woman walking slowly around the shop, pretending to be busy. Just then, Ngozi heard a footstep outside the shop. Her heart pounded again. It was Emeka. He was close. Ngozi, where are you? I know you are here. Emeka's voice boomed through the market. Ngozi held her breath, trying not to make a sound. She could hear Emeka getting closer. The old woman stepped out of the shop and stood in front of Emeka. What are you looking for, young man? She asked with a calm voice. I'm looking for my wife. She ran this way. Did you see her? The old woman shook her head slowly. No, I haven't seen anyone like that. This market is big. Maybe she's somewhere else. Emeka looked around. He looked like he didn't believe her. Are you sure, Mama? You better not be lying to me. The old woman stood her ground. I am telling you the truth, my son. You should check the other side of the market. You might find her there. Emeka stared at the old woman for a moment, then turned away angry. Ngozi felt a little better when she didn't hear Emeka's footsteps anymore. The old woman came back into the shop and gently pulled the curtain aside. It's okay, my dear. He's gone now, the old woman said. Ngozi's eyes were getting teary. Thank you, Mama. You saved me. What would I have done without you? The old woman touched Ngozi's shoulder and said, Don't cry. It's okay. You need to stay strong. But you can't stay here. He might come back. Ngozi nodded, wiping her tears. Yes, Mama. I need to leave, but I don't know where to go. The old woman thought for a moment, then said, I have a friend who lives nearby. She's a good woman and will help you. I will take you there. Ngozi felt a bit of hope. Maybe this was a chance to escape, to start a new life away from Emeka. But she also knew it wouldn't be easy. Emeka was still looking for her, and she had to be careful. The old woman handed Ngozi a long scarf. Here, wear this. It will cover your head and make it harder for him to recognize you. Ngozi took the scarf and wrapped it around her head, covering her hair and part of her face. She looked different now, like just another woman in the market. Let's go, my dear. We must move quickly, the old woman said, leading Ngozi out of the shop. They walked through the market, trying not to be seen. Ngozi's heart was still pounding, but she felt a little safer with the old woman by her side. But when they turned around the corner, Ngozi suddenly froze. There at the end of the street was Emeka. He hadn't given up. He was still looking for her. Ngozi couldn't breathe for a moment. Would he see her? Would he recognize her even with the scarf? What would happen to their marriage going forward? All right, my lovely people, we've come to the end of the first episode of this story. Thank you for watching up to this point. If you like this story and you would want me to post the second episode, please write continue the story in the comment section. Once I get enough requests for it, I will upload it. And guys, please support my channel by subscribing. Also give this video a thumbs up and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post the second episode. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.